I think there's going to be a lot of sellers like myself that are going to need to really scramble here pretty soon. And I'm going to tell you here what I'm talking about on the other side. So without any further ado, let's go.
The following program contains disturbing materials that may not be suitable for some resellers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is John with Flippin' Ain't Easy. And as I go through my merchandise that we picked up yesterday, uh, went to 4 different locations to pick stuff up. And actually, I was going to make this video yesterday while I was driving, but in my haste to get out of the house to get going, I simply forgot my microphone. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. So we'll just make the video at a later time. And then I've been so busy because we just had some news. I'll get to that news here in a minute, which it doesn't really affect reselling or the channel that much. Well, maybe a little bit, but um, I want to talk to you guys about what I was mentioning before the intro, and that's a concern that I have. And it's every day that passes, that concern is becoming more real. And what the hell are you talking about, John? What I'm talking about are the tariffs and what the real impact of these tariffs are going to be. We're talking about the U.S. Chinese tariffs, where most of our goods, most of the things that you sell, uh, are from China. Okay, we're being real about it, and there's fewer and fewer shipments coming in from China. It's just not profitable for them to do it. Um, and the things that are coming in from China are, as of May 1st, there's all kinds of things happening with the de minimis. I'm not going to go into that right now, but it's going to really put a pinch on the consumer. If I'm being totally honest with you, and I can tell, and you guys knew this. I mean, we've talked about this before, but what I'm seeing is from a sourcing standpoint, it's becoming harder for folks like me. And yes, John, you like your liquidation. We know it. You know, that doesn't affect me, but be very, very careful because once liquidation gets too expensive, and I've already seen that people are really spending more than they were even 2 weeks ago on these liquidation pallets. Once the competition for fewer goods gets to the point where liquidation is not a viable option for reselling, well, guess where we're going to go? We're going to gravitate to your yard sales. I've been doing yard sales anyway, but more people are going to gravitate to the yard sales, gravitate to the thrift stores. We are going to look for things to sell. People aren't just going to say, okay, I guess liquidation is not for me and call it a day. Resellers tend to, at least most resellers that I know, tend to try different things. You know, like Beardy, he's doing his live selling now, and I've kind of tinkered with it a little bit. But don't you think for a second that plan B, C, and D is not in the back of my mind and other resellers' mind? And maybe you've never thought of developing a plan B, C, or D, but others are, others have. And don't be surprised if you're already crowded yards, you're already crowded thrift stores and even yard sales have more people, more competition to buy these things that we need. We need to be able to have stuff to sell to make money. I've tried to get ahead of this by buying pallets. Obviously, I haven't bought enough. I still have at least, I'd say, room for another 4 to 5 pallets. But even then, heck, a pallet's only going to get me through like a week, week and a half with the larger stuff that I get in these pallets. I don't get items, small items in these pallets. Usually I'll have about 25 to 30 items on a good pallet. And so for me, that's not going to get me through much more than a week. So right now, well, I'm looking at about 6 to 7 pallets worth of stuff in my storage unit. Maybe a pallet here that needs to be processed. That's only going to get me through a month or two. And what happens, and this is the question I have for you guys, what happens when your sourcing opportunities dry up? What happens when your thrift store gets more people that you have to compete with? What happens when the yard sales have so many people going to them that if you're not the early bird, you're not getting any worms? So, what happens when things get more competition? What happens to the average smaller guy who's maybe doing this on a very, very small level, who's just trying to supplement their 9 to 5, what happens? Uh, we can't resell anything if we don't have goods. Bottom line. It's in the back of my mind. Now, I'm hopeful that this all comes to a head and there's an agreement made and things start to normalize. But all signs are pointing the opposite direction. That this is going to be a longer and more drawn out thing that we're all going to have to deal with. And if you think that, as just a general average person that's just reselling random stuff, is not going to be affected by these tariffs, and maybe you only go to yard sales, maybe you just go to the bins, maybe you deal with stuff that's being donated, you got to think again, because if I can't get my liquidation, I'm going somewhere else to find stuff to resell. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that thinks that way. And guess what? It's going to make it that much more difficult for you when you see me at the yard sales more often, when you see me at the thrift stores, when I never used to frequent thrift stores. It's going to get more difficult. It's going to be more competitive for everyone, and for some, it's going to be just there's not going to be enough meat on the bone to make it worth their while, because prices with demand are going to go up. So maybe you're used to sourcing a certain type of item at $4 or $5 a piece. Well, are you going to be able to handle paying 7, 8, maybe $10 for that same item? Because as demand increases, so do prices. That's just the way it works. As demand decreases, so usually do prices. Now, the good news is I think that's going to be a benefit, because as retail prices go up, people are going to gravitate to like the eBays, the Etsy's, to try to find things at a lower price point, and that means gravitating towards used goods, pre-owned things. And I think that in the short haul is going to be good. But what happens when you run out of those items to sell? You're going to need to find a way to replenish those items, and that's the problem that I'm talking about here. So, not a long ranty video. I just wanted to put that out to plant that in the back of your mind, and hopefully you guys have an answer to this question: what happens within your business? Just think about your business when you have more competition wherever you source, and prices either go up or things are harder to find because they're being bought up. There's more people that show up to these yard sales and thrift stores, the less merchandise is going to be available to you. And or some of these thrift stores, they've already gotten wise to resellers and jacked up their prices. I'm talking to you, Goodwill. Are they going to continue to do that, knowing that there's more demand? So help me. Maybe I'm just thinking out loud, and there's nothing that will come of this. Maybe I have my tinfoil hat, but I think it's foolish not to try to think ahead about these things, because the last thing you want to be is kind of caught off guard, wondering, now what do I do? So put your comments down below. If you enjoy the content we put out, consider hitting the like button, and of course subscribe to the channel. Why don't you hit that notification bell, because when we do pop up lives, well, you might want to be notified of them to be part of the conversation. Now, for the masses who really don't care but maybe do care about the channel, we had some developing news that I'll share with you. Jenna got a phone call from our son Tyler, and we first thought he's in boot camp for Army National Guard. We first thought, because he was injured, that he was going to be pushed back, and they call it recycled, for another 10-week boot camp session, and he wouldn't be graduating until like June, July-ish, actually like July. Well, it turns out he was able to get through a lot of these things even with his injury, and he is going to graduate here in the next week, less than a week now of this video, actually a week from today as I'm putting this video out, which means we're scrambling around, because Jenna really wants to go to this graduation. and I think it'd be good to show him some support. So that's what we're doing. So we're flying out here this next week, and we're going to be spending a few days out there, and that's going to really screw up our programming. Not sure about Monday's live. Of course, we're doing the live on Friday tomorrow, and I'm not sure about the following live on Friday, because we're going to be out and about exploring that part of the world before we come back. This is in South Carolina, over in Jackson, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. So we'll be out in the North Carolina, South Carolina area for a few days. And I was joking that we're going to have the next Nashville reseller meetup next Saturday, because we're actually transferring planes in Nashville on the way back, and we have a 5.5 hour layover. So we're going to figure out where to go to maybe have a lunch or something, and be kind of cool to run into some resellers that are still in the area or who live out there. But nonetheless, that's just an update as to what we're doing. I don't know how it affects Profit Playbook Podcast. We do have a Profit Playbook Podcast episode here this Saturday. We just got through filming it. I think it's a good episode. I think it kind of falls into line with what we're talking about here in this video. So go check it out. But guys, staying on top of the things that happen in the world, I think sometimes we either want to ignore it, or we sometimes just don't think it will have an impact on what we're doing. But you need to know that it can, and it's getting in front of things that is going to be beneficial. Those who actually plan better are going to see better results, and whoever gets out in front of it better is going to struggle less. But figuring all that out is yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. I want you guys to have an excellent rest of your day, and we will talk to you here very soon. And see you guys on Friday's Live. Take care.
Chargeback returns and lowball offers too. Zero takedowns, they're paying. What can we do? High selling fees, bad buys, and rude buyers galore. Flipping ain't easy, but we keep coming back for more. All resellers are gonna make mistakes. Learn from them, and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, we're your guide. With flipping ain't easy, by your side. Sourcing great items is the key to success. Subscribe to the channel and stand above the rest. Focus on the things that are within your control. Hang with Flip It Ain't Easy. Let's roll. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast, Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. All resellers are gonna make mistakes. Learn from them, and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, we're your guide. With flipping ain't easy, by your side. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast, Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. All resellers are gonna make